is the number one quarterback in this class. So it's baffling to me, but I think that's the route that they're going to go. This is what bad organizations do, and I can say that because the Browns have been a bad organization for the bulk of my life. There's the Browns pre-Dorsey, and then there's the Browns post-Dorsey, and it's like we operate as a functional team now. But this is what bad teams do. They talk themselves into somebody who has a ton of height, but he put up a lot of numbers against horrible defenses, absolutely terrible defenses. And Josh Rosen last year didn't even have a chance. His offensive line was the worst in the NFL. He had one weapon, and Larry Fitzgerald and David Johnson, and that was it. That was their entire offense. Their defense was atrocious outside of Patrick Peterson, who had one of the worst years of his career because there was nobody else around him. So what do? They take the number one pick when they could get probably a slew of picks from the Oakland Raiders, and they're probably going to use it on Kyler Murray and then get rid of Josh Rosen for pennies on the dollar, considering they traded up for him last year. Because, again, this is what bad organizations do.
Well, you're right, and John Elway is a perfect example about somebody who can't get the draft right, can't get the quarterback position right, but somehow have found a way to win a Super Bowl. Ed Kratz, Kyle Murray to the Cardinals, yay, nay?
Yeah, I mean, taking quarterbacks with your first overall pick in 2 years in a row doesn't make sense, but, remember the Cardinals did change coaching staffs. They want to get a guy that fits Cliff Kingsbury's system, and they feel Kyler Murray is that guy. I'm not really sold on Kyler Murray, but it could be the Russell Wilson effect. Wilson's not real tall and has had great success, and they think Kyler Murray can do the same thing. He's very fast, he's quick. I don't know what his arm strength is, but I think the Cardinals are just going to load up on offense, and they're just going to try to outscore teams with Murray. I think they go for a receiver or tight end in the second round. If they don't get one of those in the second round, they'll go with the other. So I think they're going to go quarterback, receiver, tight end in some form, and give Kingsbury all these weapons so he can implement his offense. And it's all going to start with Murray. The real question is, what are they going to do with Josh Rosen? Are they going to trade him? Is there any team that's going to give up what they want? Will the Giants do it? If I'm the Giants, I probably would, but they seem to be in love with Duke's Daniel Jones, but we'll see. But I think Murray will be the pick there for the Cardinals.
You mentioned Russell Wilson, who just became the highest-paid quarterback. The bar keeps getting raised, and we saw his middle-of-the-night Instagram announcement with his wife, Sierra, spelled with a C and not an S, but that's a whole other social media drama that we get ourselves tangled up in. But middle of the night, laying in bed with your wife, do an Instagram announcement. Don't you think he hung on the rim a little bit? Or did you not see that or hear that?
No, I didn't see it. No, I didn't.
Well, I wish that I would have gotten some audio of it. At middle of the night, like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, Russell Wilson announced that he had a deal with Seattle, and he was laying there with his wife, and he's like, Hawks, we have a deal. And his wife chimes in, go Hawks. All right, y'all go to bed. What are you up so late for? Yes, let's go to bed. I'm thinking, you just became the highest paid NFL quarterback in the world. You're laying in bed with a smoking hot woman and you want to get on Instagram? I don't know, but I just think it kind of like rubbing it in and hanging out on the rim. I don't know, but what are your thoughts about that? Again, and you would think a guy like Tom Brady, for example, would be the highest paid quarterback in the NFL, but not the case. Russell Wilson, Seattle Seahawks, is he worth the money?
Well, I mean, he is the face of that franchise. Is he worth the money? I guess, the Seahawks think he is, and if they can afford to pay it, great. But, that's the problem when you have a quarterback that's going to eat up. You have a hard salary cap in the NFL, and, if your quarterback's making, 30 to 40% of that, then you're going to have trouble filling in the gaps. Say what you want about Tom Brady. He has been, during his career, the highest paid quarterback, but Brady has always been willing to restructure his deal or to somehow free up more money so the Patriots can have room under the salary cap to go get a player that they may need to help fill out that roster. We'll see if Russell Wilson is agreeable to do that, because if you're taking up that much of the salary, then you're going to have to kind of really skimp in other areas. And I think one of those areas with the Seahawks in recent years has been the offensive line. They don't pay the offensive linemen anything with Seattle, so they're skimping on the offensive line. That's what happens when you have to pay a quarterback big money like that. And the Eagles are going to find themselves in a situation that could be similar when they extend Carson Wentz, which, by the way, I think will happen sometime before the season starts.
Breaking news. Adam Jividen, Super Browns fan. Let's start talking about, as if we haven't talked about them enough for an entire year, as they tanked and got themselves ready for the 2019 draft, and that's the Oakland Raiders. We would think that they will trade with the 49ers. John Gruden gets his quarterback by moving up 2 spots. Gruden coach Locke at the Senior Bowl, and it's easy to see him appreciating the former Missouri quarterback in the physical beast that he is. So the Oakland Raiders trade with the 49ers to get the number 2 pick for Drew Lock.
Oh, Adam? Man, could I see it? I could see it. I think that'd be a bad move. I don't think Drew Lock is going to be good at all. I think Drew Lock is a physical, big arm. He reminds me of Kyle Bowler. If you remember back when the Ravens traded up to draft Kyle Bowler out of Cal, he could make all the throws in the world, but mentally he didn't have it. Like, for all of the physical talent, Missouri's offense was trash. Could he do it? Sure. Would John Lynch be excited to pick up extra assets to move down and still get either Quinn Williams or Nick Bosa? Yeah, but I think personally, Gruden stays put for this year. They ride with Derek Carr headed into Vegas next year for now, and then next year's the year when they make a move for a quarterback.
It is Drew Lock too much of a stretch for the Oakland Raiders at this point.
Yeah, I don't think the Raiders should try to overthink this. They have 4 of the top 35 picks in the draft. Just stick to your board. Take who you think is the best player. I mean, look, they got rid of the best defensive player in the NFL in Khalil Mack. Why don't you address the defense at this position? At this spot number, stay put at number 4. You're going to get a good defensive player, and let the 49ers, pick second. I just don't think the Raiders should overthink it. Could they go up to number 2 for a quarterback to compete with Derek Carr? Yeah, I guess they could. But, again, I would hope Mike Mayock is a little bit smarter than that. Just stick to your board. Take your 4 picks in those 35, the 35 top picks, and see how those guys do. I don't think it'll happen. I think the 49ers will stay number 2, and they'll probably draft another defensive lineman like they have in 3 of the last 4 drafts. But I think that's what's going to happen. I think the 49ers will stay put and probably take someone like Keenan Williams, or, the Alabama kid, or some other defensive lineman, maybe Nick Bosa. I mean, I could see them taking Nick Bosa at number 2. I think that's who I would take from the Niners, and from the Raiders, I'd stay put.
That's a valid point. I had and I won't refer to you on this, Adam. I know you're the Ohio State Buckeye expert between the two of us, and you certainly know about Nick Bosa, but I had him going to the Jets in number 3. What are your thoughts?
I could see it. Again, Bosa goes off the board either 2 or 3, and I think you're going to have either Bosa or Quinnen Williams, 2 or 3, and I see it. Either player makes sense for either team. Personally, I'd rather see Bosa go to the 49ers than go to the Jets, because I hate the Jets a lot, and I don't want to see a Bosa play for him.
Well, valid point. That's the logic. That's the logic that all team owners should use. It. You know what? When I put my mock draft together for today's show, I put again going back to the swap with the 49ers and the Raiders. So I figure that Quentin Williams, defensive tackle, Ed, goes to the 49ers from Alabama. I think that's a good spot for him. And Williams adds just another elite talent to the 49ers defensive front. Ed?
Yeah. I talked to someone with the Jets organization and they had Ed Oliver in for a visit recently, and indications are they really like Ed Oliver. So, I think the Jets might pick Ed Oliver here at the number 3 pick. That's who I would probably mock to the Jets at this point, just based on my conversation with someone I know with the Jets, is they really do like Ed Oliver.
So going with my, I always like to think that people like to trade up or trade down and not go where they're slotted to go. So I'm going to continue that theory. And knowing that Eli Manning's days are numbered at the Giants, they need that heir apparent. They need somebody that's going to be okay standing behind them. Daniel Jones, quarterback out of Duke, the Giants does a trade with the Buccaneers. And remember, when the Bears traded up one spot to get a guy by the name of Mitch Trubisky. And so I look for this guy I look for Daniel Jones to be the heir apparent to Eli Manning. Adam?
Yeah, if in that scenario, I think Daniel Jones to the Giants makes more sense for them at 17 because I've watched tape on this dude. He's not that good. You've got Dwayne Haskins, who put up the single greatest quarterbacking year in the history of the Big Ten and did it, with ease. Smoked every single season record there's ever been. And they would take Daniel Jones, who was an average quarterback at Duke, just because of the David Cutcliffe connection, which, don't get me wrong, I think could absolutely happen because I think that David Gettleman is that much of an idiot. Could he do it? Yes. I think it'd be smarter for the Giants to sit at 6, pick up Dwayne Haskins, and let him sit for a year. Because if you're going to have the quarterback sit for a year, why are you not taking the dude that has the best and most accurate arm in the draft? I don't get it, but it seems to be that's the way that the Giants are trending. But personally, I would pick Haskins at 6 if I'm the Giants.
That's a valid point. Ed, let's go to your expertise on this. I mean, let's talk about the move up. And if the projected trade with the Giants happens that I am predicting, the Bucs get their man, and that's Josh Allen. And, I think the Bucs will be completely happy with Josh Allen, and I think the trade with the Giants makes very good sense. And they both teams get their guy. What are your thoughts, Ed?
Yeah, well, I don't like any of these quarterbacks in this draft. I got to tell you, this quarterback draft class reminds me of 2013 when E.J. Manuel was the first quarterback taken, I think 16th overall by the Bills. I mean, to me, I don't think there's a top 10 quarterback in this draft. Now, maybe Kyler Murray might be the outlier on that. I don't know, but to be honest, the closer the draft gets, the more teams who need quarterbacks seem to fall in love with quarterbacks and kind of ignore a lot of their warts. And, I don't like Daniel Jones even a little bit. I think if the Giants want to do it, good luck to them. But I think the Giants have needs on the defensive line and the offensive line. They have 2 picks in the top 20. They're picking 6th and 17th. Could they flip-flop one of those for Rosen? Sure, I would do that before I would take Daniel Jones, Dwayne Haskins or Drew Lock or whoever. I don't like any of them. I would probably, if I'm the Giants, try to trade my 17th overall pick for Rosen. And here I would take either an offensive lineman, a tackle, or I would probably address my defensive line and take, someone maybe like Rashawn Gary, a pass rusher from Michigan. Maybe I would probably take him at the 6th overall pick. Just stay put, trade your 17th, get your quarterback. But there's been talk about an extension in New York for Eli Manning. So maybe they're not planning on taking a quarterback. Maybe this is smoke and mirrors. They're going to give Eli an extension and try to protect him with the offensive line. Maybe get him a weapon later in the draft, a wide receiver to take Odell Beckham's place. But, that could be it. They could be planning on giving Eli another year or 2 on his contract and wait for Jared Lawrence to come out of Clemson, and maybe you'll find a way to get him or somebody else. Because, to me, I don't think any of these quarterbacks are worth a top 10 pick.
Ed, let's talk a little bit about Ed Oliver, leaving as junior from Houston. You did some studying, I'm sure, because of Nick Foltz, and obviously is in the AFC South. I'm familiar with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars used their number 7 pick to pick up Ed Oliver. What are your thoughts?